Welcome to the kitchen. In this video, I will be making a gluten-free Oreo cake. To make this easy, I will be using a gluten-free yellow cake mix. I preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and then I greased and floured 3 cake pans. This gluten-free cake mix is one of my favorites. It mixes up fairly consistently. I went ahead and dumped in the whole bag all at once. I went ahead and used melted butter for this recipe. Although I always bake gluten-free, I don't always bake dairy-free. And then I used half milk and half water for the liquid. This cake mix calls for 3 eggs. That's probably part of why it turns out so good. The instructions on the box say to beat the batter for a full 2 minutes. Next, I am going to add my crushed Oreos. I crushed these by hand in a bag. You can also crush them in a food processor if you prefer. Just don't crush them too much. I crushed up about 12 Oreos for this. I used a large cookie scoop to get an even amount of batter for each pan. I set my timer for 25 minutes. I let up my racks so that they are ready for when I pull the cakes out of the oven. I'm scraping the middle out of the Oreos so that I get a nice fine crush on them for the frosting. I added the centers to the butter. I did 3 cups of powdered sugar. Here I realized I had not plugged in my mixer after putting it back on the counter. Two tablespoons of the milk. I added 12 more crushed Oreos to the frosting. I actually did not expect the frosting to turn out so dark looking. Here I am making another batch of buttercream. This one I am not going to add Oreos to, so I have some white frosting to fill in. I made a half batch of the white frosting, so only 1 tablespoon of milk in this one. Now I begin to put my cake together. Making and decorating cakes is one of my favorite hobbies, although I don't do it very often because I try not to eat too much sugar. As I put on the second layer, I decided that I was going to switch to the Oreo frosting for the second layer because I realized that I wasn't going to have enough white to put on top of the cake if I used it for the second layer. the hardest part of putting on this frosting was that it was a little bit stiff. I almost feel like I could have put a little bit more milk in it, but it turned out just fine and it looks beautiful. One of the hardest parts for me in cake decorating is making sure that this top edge gets nice and fully covered. For some reason, it seems to take a bit more frosting and going back over it to make sure it's nice and covered so you don't see any cake. I did a half a cup of cream for my ganache. While the heavy cream was heating up, I went ahead and got my chocolate chips measured. Once I got bubbles around the edges of the cream, I took it off the heat and then added my chocolate chips. I realized here that I had forgotten to put my pan on a hot pad. Don't worry, nothing bad happened to the counter. I love the way the ganache just like runs down the sides on this. It makes it just look so pretty and delicious. I love how well the white buttercream piped onto the cake. At first it seemed to come out really stiff, but once it heated up a little bit from the warmth of my hands, it piped really well. This is one of my favorite parts of cake decorating. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, please hit the like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching!